blankets that they gave them, the government gave them. Okay, alcohol, all on reservations, all the things that destroy, sending the kids to these white schools and making it illegal for them to speak their native language, all of that went on in America, like it did in Australia and other colonial places, where the colonial power made his language the lingua franca. Do you know in Algeria? And they outlawed Arabic as the official language and made French the main language. When I went to Algeria in the 70s, I told the brothers, hey, you know, we was in exile in Algeria. I said, teach me your language. You know what they said? Learn French. They had to import teachers from Egypt and other Arab countries to Algeria to teach them standard Arabic, real Arabic, because the French had so insinuated themselves after 100 years into their society that they spoke a broken French. I mean a broken Arabic. Amiya they call it. You know. This is what they spoke. Okay, I'm gonna get back to the point. The point is that a lot of this stuff may seem disjointed, but a lot of times it has a serious point. There's one thing that I want to talk about a little bit. Number one, identity, and we said, is this stuff real that's been happening to us? The next thing we wanted to talk about was our mission, As-Sabiqun. As-Sabiqun al-awwalun min al-muhajirin wal-ansar wat-tabi'in. Okay. Now, have we been living up to that title for the last 30 years, As-Sabiqun? That means, have we been out in front of every issue? Have we stood up for every issue in America and in the Muslim world? Have we stood against the Zionists in Palestine? Have we stood against the Saudis' invasion of Yemen, right? Have we stood for the support of our people in Afghanistan and all over the Muslim world? Have we did that? If that's true, then we have really lived up to, as best we can, to As-Sabiqun. Remember, As-Sabiqun go out in front of everybody else. As-Sabiqun don't wait for people to, the Mufassirs say, the ones that write the commentary, they said that the people originally, the idea of As-Sabiqun, because it says they lead the way, they show the way. Those were the people who accepted Islam before Badr. Badr was a big battle, you know, about 18 months after the Hijrah. The people that accepted Islam in those days accepted Islam for no other reason than La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. That was it. In the Quran, you notice you don't find in the Mecca surahs anything about munafiqs. Why? Because who's going to accept Islam just to get punished, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's in Al-Madinah. The Medina surahs talk about munafiqeen, nifaq, and all of that, right? That's because at that time, there was something to gain. If you could pretend to be a Muslim and you would be a hypocrite, you might get up close to the Muslims and there might be some gain. Plus, you didn't have a battle to prove that Islam is here to stay. Okay. So As-Sabiqun is the name of our loose letter is the name of our organization, As-Sabiqun. So we have to think, have we went out first? Have we acted in a premeditated way, right? Have we planned and structured what we're trying to do so we could understand what's going on, anticipate it, and then act according to that? And our research showed that we have done that. So if we've done that, if we have been the target of the system, there's no other masjid in D.C. or anywhere else in the United States that have been systematically cut off and isolated by the whole Muslim community. The whole Muslim community. That means if we invited people to speak here years ago from Dar al-Hijr, that means if they have something, then maybe they would invite us. They stop inviting us at a certain time. Out there at ICM, Islamic Center, Maryland, Gaithersburg, whatever it is, we used to go out there every Friday and give a talk. When they had some problems out there between Ikhwanis trying to take over and the original Pakistani types and other African types that didn't want their center to be an Ikhwani stronghold, they called us and we met and they wanted an intermediary. Yeah. Okay? Then why nobody come to Masjid al-Islam? Is there any masjid that if somebody comes here, they will follow those people and meet them at a grocery store and ask them, what masjid do you go to? Right? If you say, oh, I go to Masjid al-Islam, they'll say, oh, that's a Shia masjid. Oh, that's an Afrocentric masjid. Oh, they got 1,000 things they'll say. Well, one thing is sure, those people won't come here again. They do that to everybody. The only people that come here are the ones that get the little stamp on their paycheck. That's who comes. That's okay. We've been knowing that for decades, and we'll go into it later where we had to adjust okay. Now, in this Islamic revival that we're dealing with right now, remember last week a few weeks ago, we talked about Iqamatul Deen, establishing the religion. And we talked about Islamic revival. What we meant at that time was, years ago, there was no need for an Islamic revival in America. Because the first thing we got to do is establish the deen. The deen has been established. Big masajid all over the United States. But are they living up to their calling? Are they following what Allah says in Quran and Hadith? If you see wrong, stop it with your hand. If you can't, speak out about it. If you can't, at least feel bad about it, and that's the weakest kind of faith. Where in America is there one sinner that's jumping up and saying, hold it, we don't like what's going on in America. Instead, we find the Muslims voting. They're going to vote in Bernie Sanders or somebody. And they always choose the guy that loses. Yeah, they got mad at Bill Clinton. Or they got some kind of way in the early 2000s, they got George Bush in there, and then they had supported Bill Clinton or something, whoever it was. The old guy with the tall hair, the senator.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't think
Kerry.
Yeah.
They got on Kerry's side, then Bush won, and now they're sitting there looking stupid. I'm not going to go through that.
I remember growing up.
We never went through that. We have never supported the American system because it's Zionist. The immigrant community supports the American system. They asked to come here. Some of them pleaded to come here. And one of the lawyers, I spoke on a program in Dallas with a white lawyer. He's an immigration attorney. He said, half of all of my clients are asked by the FBI or immigration if they want to cooperate. So let's say half of them are asked, half of them cooperate. That means 1/4 of the immigrant, because they're going to tell them, if you cooperate with us for a while, you know, your family that's back home, we'll let you bring them over here. And just imagine, that's great. All they got to do is cooperate with Boss Man. And remember, America always tramples on nationalism. America takes people from England, and in a few years, they're fighting England for their freedom. They got Italians here, came from Italy, and they sent them right back to fight Mussolini. Hey, all of that nationalism stuff, it don't hold water here in America. America sucks people in from all over the world, then send them back to fight their own people. If you think I'm lying, go to any program at ISNA. Guess who has a booth there? The United States government. And they're asking, they got all the flyers there. Those who are native speakers of Farsi, Pashto, right? Arabic, all those languages. Yeah. And guess what? The table is full of people. Everybody's pulling it up. Why? They want a job to work for the United States government. And they want people to translate all the stuff that's being said all over the world. And they got tons of them here. Okay. Whether you call it Islam or not, here's what we have to do. We have decided that a long time ago on our policy here is nonviolent resistance. Alternative resistance. But if you listen to us speak now, you would never believe that our policy is a policy of love and kindness. It don't sound like that. At least to me, if I was out there, I don't think I would take this as a lecture on love and kindness, although we have practiced that with everybody we come in contact with. What is it? Love is a treatment for all the ills, all the great personalities, especially in religion, have came to that conclusion of forgiveness, kindness, and love, right? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the people, you be with the people you love, right? They said, we love Abu Bakr and Umar. He said, you're going to be with the people you love, right? They said, well, I can't do what they do. They pray, fast, all that. He said, you will be with the people you love. Love for Allah is like, well, it's tazkiyah bil nafs. It's a purification of your nafs. Love for Allah is a cleanliness. Is everything in Islam. Zakat, it means purification. You give some of your money away to somebody that needs something, it purifies the rest of it. But that's what tazkiyah bil nafs comes. Tazkiyah, right? Bil nafs. The purification of your nafs. The only way we can get from where we are to where we need to go in the Muslim world is purification of nafs. The cleaning of our nafs. Zakat, sadaqah, all of that. That's what the root of that. Salah, all that means cleanliness, purification. I'm going to speed up here a minute. We have a policy of nonviolent resistance, but a policy of alternative resistance. The same policy we had, returning good for evil, you know. Even some of our main focus have been on opiates and white people's use of opiates, and we want to help them. That's one of our main projects. But guess what? Every project that we have, if we want to help the homeless, they come, the government come and sell our property illegally. We'll get it all back, that's no problem. But we're not going to run out there and give me my property back because of the law. So we'll get out there. Everything we need to do, we'll do it. And everybody that is involved in that, we say that we love you. All of them. Everybody out there and everybody here. No matter what they do and no matter what they've done. Why? Because if you don't, you think about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he, in his case, he turned to love and kindness with the Quraysh and everybody. You know, when he came, when they took over Mecca, they said, "Oh, Rasulullah, you come from a good family, you are an honorable man, what are you going to do with us?" He said, "La tatraba." I say the same thing to you that Joseph said to his brothers. No reproach. You see what I mean? That's what he said. That was his model of behavior. Now, if you broke one of Allah's ordinances, he couldn't do nothing about that. But if it was something against him, particularly, he forgave you. This is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all the silly, I'm not even going to call them silly Negroes. Here's why. No, this is a recruiting tape right there. This is a recruiting. We won't spend much time on it, but we're inviting people to join and participate with us on helping America become America the good, not America the great. I know we've said this a lot, but we want America to be America the good, not America the great. That's going to be a big job. You know why? They studied where we was coming from 50 years ago. And everything they've been doing it for 35 and 40 years. All this stuff, it ain't nothing new. Everything they have been doing to us. Now, we have survived all of that, but for what reason? Why have we, as an individual, now I'm going to use the thing about identity and the thing about the last recent period. We have articles that we wrote about Mujaddid. A Mujaddid is one that practices tajdeed. Tajdeed is purification, is cleanliness. Tajdeed. You know, jadid in Arabic just means new. A mujaddid is a renewer, a reviver, a reformer. So, jadid means something that is new, something that is recent, right? And part of tajdeed is renewal, reorganization, reform, renovation, restoration, reconditioning, rejuvenation, and regeneration. That's a part of renewal. That's a part of jadid. It means diligence also, seriousness, earnestness. reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah shall raise for its ummah at the head of every century a man who shall renew or revive for it its religion. This is in Abu Dawud. The word that it uses in Arabic is mujaddid. Allah will raise at the head of every century, close to the head, a mujaddid. So there's groups of Muslims have always been waiting on a mujaddid or a reformer or a renewer. And they might have thought Muhammad Abdullah Hassan in Somalia. A lot of people think this is the mujaddid. Muhammad Ahmad of Sudan that killed Chinese Gordon over there in Sudan. They might say, this is the mujaddid. He's here to revive, right? Yeah. So the Muslims in each area, Sheikh Uthman Danfodio in Nigeria, they said, that's the mujaddid. This is a word. It's kind of one that's expected to come to do a specific job at a specific time. I'm gonna pass on that word just for a few minutes. Here's why. Because it's a deep word, but identity, if you've been raised a certain way and you could see, what has that been pointing to, all of this? Sometimes a person has to overcome their own Negroism and colorism to say, well, just think about it, everything that person is supposed to do, we've already done that. We're doing it right now. So you would have to ask yourself, what does that make? That's a big question because that's a big step. And I'm talking about a complex mujaddid now, not standard. Remember here, we got the whole world we're dealing with. In America, we're talking about an environment where we cooperate with the environment, right? So we wouldn't be trying to institute an Islamic program in America because the people are not Muslims. That's one thing about establishing Islam. The people have got to be Muslims, right? Right? So, but the influence, we always talk about influence, what? The direction.